What is up, everybody? That's new. What is up, everybody? Paul, for real. We are here today with Johan. And Johan, I apologize. How do you say your last name?
Yeah, that sounds good. Johan Marais.
Okay. We are here with Johan Marais from the African Snakebite Institute. So guess what? I'm here in the U.S. and he's way over the pond. So that's pretty cool. Johan, how's everything going today?
Yeah, all good. Thank you. Nice to chat.
Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and let Johan introduce himself, let everybody know what he does, and then we've got some cool questions about what they're going to have, what they have going on, and hopefully some stuff that can help us over here in the U.S. too. So, Johan, how about that?
Yeah, so I've been involved with reptiles pretty much most of my life. I was a curator of Fitzsimmons Snake Park in Durban back in the late 70s. I was with Transvaal Snake Park in the early 80s. And that was a pretty good time because Transvaal Snake Park at the time was one of the best facilities in the world. In fact, I've seen a lot of snake parks or reptile parks in the USA, Australia, Europe, Singapore, all over the place. And I've yet to see a facility that comes anywhere near to what they used to have. It was really a state-of-the-art facility. Sadly, no longer around. It became an industrial area, and eventually the property was worth more than the going concern, and that closed down about 15 years ago. So
that sucks.
I had a bit of I got very involved with crocodile farming. I was on the crocodile specialist group for about 8 years. Owned 2 or 3 facilities, produced thousands and thousands of crocs, managed to get to a lot of the CSG meetings all over the world, and that was pretty good. Obviously, the guys from St. Augustine. My very best friend is Paul Muller, Florida Fish and Game. My other really good friend is Randy Babb, Arizona Fish and Game.
Okay.
And the 3 of us actually do a lot of herping. They come here usually every year. I've been with them to Mexico. I fly fish with Randy. And so my interest is in reptiles in general. I've done about just over a dozen books, including with Graham Alexander. We did the reptiles of Southern Africa. My current bestseller is The Complete Guide to Snakes of Southern Africa. Just did a major revision of that. Okay. And then with my colleague Luke Kemp, we at the moment also busy with a book on the reptiles and amphibians of Southern Africa, about 850 species.
Okay.
So most of my involvement nowadays, in the last 10 years, is with the African Snakebite Institute. I started it 10 years ago, and in essence, we provide snake awareness and venomous snake handling to corporates. So all over Africa, you have mines, you have solar farms, you have wind farms, and people that have to deal with snakes on a regular basis. And historically, everything was just killed. And now they have environmental policies. So we teach their staff how to deal with snake encounters. I get very involved with their medical staff on the treatment of snakebite. And then we teach snake removal, which in essence is using snake hooks and 1.5 meter snake tongues to safely secure venomous snakes into containers and to remove them off site and release them elsewhere. And this is interesting because a lot of people are very critical of snake tongues. I've been using tongues all my life, and I believe that it's a pretty good tool in the right hands, and we try and teach people how to do it safely. I don't want complete novices grabbing big cobras by the tail and hooking them and stuff like that. That's just insane.
Yeah.
So what we've actually done is we manufacture our own snake tongues. We've looked at everything on the market, and we've dramatically improved on what one can get all over the world. And in the beginning, 10 years back, we'd sell 20, 30 snake tongues a month. And now we can sell literally over 1,000 a month. And you can say about tongues what you want to. A snake tongue is far better than a spade where a snake gets chopped into 2.
100%. 100%. I think I've never used them, but Cody always says they have their place where I've mentored. And he's always said that if you're going to use them, you need to be trained by somebody that's used them and uses them properly, because they can do a lot of damage very quickly and make things a lot worse. So I think they always have a place for them. And honestly, I think if you're training people to remove from the industrial settings, how has that been received? Because I know when I have friends come to me and say, oh man, I saw this black snake, which is a black razor, is completely harmless. And if you jumped up and down, it would take off like a rocket. You'd never see it again. But
Yep.
they say, oh, you know, it's like this, relax. How is this received by these corporate people as far as, hey, you know, just take the extra time to remove it?
Yeah, it's been phenomenal. You know, we started off 10 years back doing the corporate courses. I work very closely with their insurers to make sure that everything complies with health and safety standards, that the risk is minimum, because snake bites, like in the USA, are really expensive. So we really try to eliminate that. And it's escalated. We've pushed over 60,000 people through our program in the last 10 years.
Wow.
That's quite dramatic. And there's been a lot of demand for public courses. So we've started doing more and more public courses all over South Africa. And again, 10 years back, we had 6 or 10 or 12 people on a course. Now we have to limit our courses to 50 people per course. Wow. And just about every course is fully booked. So it's That's insane. Awesome. And what we do with these courses, the morning is all awareness. We chat about snake behavior, biology, myths and superstition, identification, first aid, the medical treatment. And then in the afternoon, we do handling. And we start people with tongs and hooks and no physical contact. And then we have a second course that we call boot camp. That's a full day of practical. And they start with tongs and hooks. And then we start getting them to tailing. And we get them to tail Cape cobras and snouted cobras and wormslung. And then from that course, we have a third course, which we really limit the numbers on, which we call advanced snake handling. And then we teach people how to neck mambas, cobras, buffeters, tube, probe, and all the rest of it.
Oh, it's awesome that it's being received well from insurance companies and corporate, because to me, I mean, obviously the US, we have several species, but we don't have quite the variety that you guys have over there. So it's hard to say how it would be perceived here, but with the rattlesnake roundups and stuff that we fight so hard to have just obliterated, which we just sometimes doesn't feel like we're making any effort or headway at all. It's tough. And the biggest questions that I have are, when you do the courses, it says that you have an online course, correct? So if I wanted to take the course, I could do the online portion of it?
Yeah, so we've got, we have the snake awareness, which is, we have now as an online course.
Okay.
And there, as I mentioned, we go through a bit of snake behavior. We want people to understand them better. We go through the biology, we go through the myths, we go through a bit of identification. And then quite a bit of time is spent on first aid, because with first aid anywhere in the world, there's a lot of misinformation and a lot of outdated information. Now, I've been very fortunate. I get invited to snakebite seminars all over the world, and I'm on a stage with Dr. David Worrell, with Wolfgang Wuster, with the likes of David Williams and Brian Fry, and we share ideas and we thrash things around. So when I write my books, what I write about first aid really is well thought through. I get it checked by the top guys in the world. And this is what we share with people. So this is important, you know, that we're trying to educate them and get them to understand these things. And a strong part of our presence, as you've noticed, is our social media.
Yep.
We spend a rude amount of time on that. With our, on Facebook now, we have over 600,000 people on 5 pages. My one page, Snakes of Southern Africa, has just short of 200,000 people on it. And we developed a phenomenal app called ASI Snakes. It's a free app.
Yep, I have it.
And we've now had just over 150,000 downloads. We're one of the top 10 apps in Africa.
Wow.
And that's on snakes. So that's incredible.
Yeah. And it's exciting to talk to somebody from another country to be able to discuss some of this stuff. And, you know, again, over here, we unfortunately are focused on fighting to be able to keep stuff as private keepers. But I think at the end of the day, we're missing out on a lot of this stuff, a lot of the educational portion of it from people like yourself, you know, that we can learn more. And I think that could help the whole group here in the US be able to I don't want to say fight, because it shouldn't be fight. We should be educating Fish and Wildlife and vice versa, and working together to keep some sort of strict permitting system in place that actually works. Here in Florida, it's hard to get a permit. I put in over 2 years of work to get my hours in, to get my inspection, to get a permit, and that's what I'm waiting on right now. But do you deal a lot with the private side of venomous keeping in Africa, or are you guys primarily just working with the corporate stuff?
Yeah, it's a small community here, so we tend to get involved in a bit of everything. Obviously, we also permitted for everything. We have 9 provinces. Each province has its own laws, and some of them are really restrictive. We now also have blacklisted species. So KwaZulu-Natal, you can't keep Burmese, you can't keep boas. And yeah, it's a bit of a strange setup, because the Western Cape is very strict, but here in Gauteng, for exotics, you can pretty much keep anything, and it's not regulated at all, and there's a very little anti-venom going around. So we have about 42 species of deadly exotics in collections, and we're concerned with the lack of anti-venom, because I get phone calls from hospitals that say, we have a 16-year-old kid here bitten by an adult king cobra. Can you help us? I don't keep king cobra anti-venom. I don't keep rattlesnake anti-venom, So yeah, we see what's going on. We have a good relationship with most of the authorities. In fact, we have our own association as well. So we actually sign off permits to keepers here in Gauteng. Okay. And people that want to do, on our app, we have over 700 people that do snake removal or snake rescues. Okay. And one of the prerequisites is that they do our course, they get a certificate, and we approve by all the authorities. So if they do their application with their certificate, they get a catch and removal permit. Okay. So yeah, we're close to the industry. Yeah.
That's very good. Now, when you guys do, or if somebody's doing snake removals, are they charging people to do this over there? Or is this pretty much just like a volunteer? I'm here to help because I don't want you to spade the snake.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that do it for free. There's a lot of people that ask for donations. There's a lot of people that charge a fixed rate.
So it's kind of
it might be the equivalent of like $20-30 a call type of thing. And then you have your few people that just try and rip other people off and sell them useless repellents and overcharge them and all that sort of jazz. But we keep an eye on them on our app, and if people misbehave, we just get rid of them.
I think it's funny that you say snake repellent. I hear people all the time, I throw mothballs out there, that works.
Yeah.
No, it does not. Well, the store sells this stuff, and it's like, no, that doesn't work either. Yeah, but they sell it. It's like, no, stop. Stop wasting your money.
Friends of ours have run some at Wits University and at the University of Pretoria, have run some very extensive research projects to show that these repellents don't work. We're expecting a publication pretty soon, and the moment that's out, we'll be at the Advertising Standards Authority, and we're going to have snake repellents taken off the shelves. Yeah. They'll be gone soon.
Yeah, that's a good thing. It is just a waste of money for people.
Yep.
And then the worst case is when somebody believes that it really works and they have that false sense of security, and then all of a sudden, you have a pygmy, especially here where we are, you could stand right next to a pygmy or a small diamondback or, water mouse, you'd never even see it.
Yep.
It'd just be there, and, they would just, it's that false sense of security. So what are
people
you guys?
People believe strange things.
Yes. Oh, that's a fact. So what are you guys working on right now? What type of projects are you guys working on right now?
We've got a lot of things going all sort of at the same time. We've just in the Cape Province, there are, I think, 26 game reserves or parks or whatever you call them. Mm-hmm. And we've just developed a poster of common snakes of every single one of those reserves. And these posters are free downloads. We make them available free to the public. We've now developed posters for every city, all major towns, every province, and all of these on our website, and people can download them. And if people phone us and say, listen, I live in a town called Vryheid, do you have a poster of the common snakes are frayed? We say no, but we'll put one together for you. And 2 days later, it's out.
Oh,
So the
that's
posters
awesome.
we're always busy with. We've done a nice big poster, an A0 size, medically important snakes, which we provide free to hospitals.
Mhm.
Another big project that I've started is I've registered in a non-profit organization called the African Snakebite Institute Foundation. And my plan is to set up about 25 anti-venom banks throughout the country, where anti-venom will be available 24/7 for emergencies. Because I often get called in a weekend from a far-off hospital, they need anti-venom, and then it's a mess. So it's a big story. We need about $100,000 to fund it. So we've registered this MPO, and we're working on that very hard now to get these anti-venom banks going.
Which is a great thing. We have Venom 1 here in Venom 1 and Venom 2 here in Florida, and I'm pretty sure they send stuff all over the country. But
Yep.
it's the same thing, like you said, and I've heard this. I've interviewed Nathaniel Frank from M Toxin's Venom Lab, and you know we know Dr. Ben Abo, and they've all said the same thing. These bites don't come at like 2 o'clock on Monday afternoon. You know,
Yep.
it's always a weekend or in the middle of the night, or you know maybe late in the afternoon. So getting anti-venom out is super important, and that's absolutely a great cause. So when we do when I finish this and do the description portion, I'll put all the links and everything so people can go to your site and check it out. For all of the viewers here in the US, remember, these are things that we should support here, because at the end of the day, maybe we can mirror things here as well. And I think it's a huge deal here. Again, one of the things that we talk about is the private industry and getting INDs and keeping your own anti-venom and being responsible keepers, no free handling, use of tools. I don't know if you can see right behind me. I keep Venom Defender gloves. I have several different hooks. There's 2 hooks that are missing. They're in my car. We keep goggles. I have secure emergency lighting in here. So if the power goes out, I have emergency lights. Everything is secured. The biggest thing that I've been taught, and that when I watch videos and get to speak to people like yourself, is safety first, you know,
Yep.
and the most important thing. And, you know, I keep firearms, and I always tell people it's the same thing. It's no
Yep.
different,
Yep.
you know? So, you know, as the Snakebite Institute has grown, what do you guys feel that the community, how do you think the community feels towards you guys as a group?
Oh, it's been fantastic. I mean, our presence. You can go to most major hospitals. You're going to see our posters up in emergency rooms. People know about us. We very well established, and I think the contribution to sort of general education has just been great. I do regular magazine articles. We do regular radio and television interviews. All of these posters we put out. You know, on social media, we have what we call snake profiles. So if someone puts up asks a question about a certain snake, or they put up a question of a dead snake, we would immediately share one of our profiles. 4 color photographs, a distribution map, basic information, what the venom does. All of that information is made free all the time. And I don't think one should ever underestimate the value of educating people, even for the keepers in the USA. You get people on your side, you get people to understand snakes better. I can see, I've been in this game for 40 years, I can see a massive change in people's attitude, especially farmers. You know, in the past they've grabbed the shotgun, now they grab the snake tongues, you know.
I tell everybody.
We've adapted snake tongues for them. So where a standard snake tongue is like just over 3.5 feet long, we make 5.5 feet tongues. So they're a bit further away from a venomous snake, you know, a bit more comfortable.
Yeah, it gives. I will say that's a definite. I've heard people say when they see the tongs that I keep, because I do keep a set, and they'll be like, "Man, that doesn't seem like that's much distance. I think I need double that." You know, and it's like, you know, I always tell people the same story. I have an individual I work with, is a very good friend, and from the first time he found out that I was a snake guy, he would always tell me, if there's a snake in my yard, I'm going to get in a gun. And I hate snakes. They're terrible. They're bad. They're this, they're that. and I had him, his wife, and his kids had come over to see all the animals, and we'd given them a bearded dragon, and they came over and he held the ball python. So granted, it's a ball python, it's just a little one, but he went from, hey, I'm going to go get the gun to, well, you know what? As long as nobody's in danger, I'll just leave it alone now. So I think education is one of the things that we should be focused on, we here in the States could learn a lot from that. And I'm one of them. If you watch any of my shows, I am a huge advocate of banning free handling. I think it's one of the worst practices that I see these guys do.
Absolutely.
It's man, I hate getting on that soapbox, but again, it's just like, listen, I say this all the time. I have a handgun that sits on my nightstand.
Yeah.
If you pick that up, would you put it to your head and pull the trigger? God, I hope not, because there will be a hole, because it's loaded.
We've made ourselves very unpopular with the minority. Freehanders are banned from all our sites. End of story. We don't tolerate it. We're not interested.
Yep.
You can do at home what you want to do, but don't show it to kids. And
and that's I understand the excitement of or the industry of YouTube, because I'll say it's an industry now. It's really what it is. But these guys that are doing the free handling, what they're doing is they are showing these young kids, hey, I can do this. And I know, listen, before anybody gets and jumps on me, I know that's not what they're saying, but guess what? Young kids are going to take it that way. I have 5 of them.
Absolutely.
I can tell you that I've heard my son say, I saw that on YouTube, it'll work. No, so getting away from that portion of it has been one of the toughest things for me. I don't always want to beat up on these guys, because at the end of the day, we all have a passion for our animals, and I know they're passionate about them. I just wish they would stop with the YouTube and posting all this stuff. So kids, kids are, like you said, kids are going to go out and try it, even if it's only one a year. It doesn't matter. It's one too many. So
a friend of mine says that sadly some people use snakes as an extension of their spine, and I thought that's quite appropriate.
Yeah, I like that. That could be a T-shirt here in Florida. Trust me. So, what do you find is one of the most? What species do you find is one of the most active that you guys see the most calls about?
Well, it's hard to say, because we in Southern Africa we have 173 species, and you've got over 700 snake catchers, and depending where they are and what they're doing. But the interesting thing is, my hometown is Durban, down on the East Coast, which is a sort of a subtropical area. And back in my youth, I'd get 1 or 2 black mambas a year in the suburbs. And what's happened over the years is the city has expanded, the natural habitat has been destroyed. The snakes have been pushed into little pockets of habitat. And I think another thing that has happened in Durban is suddenly there's a great new source of food for black mambas, and that's feral cats. You've got feral cats all over the place. And the 3 main snake catchers in Durban, Nick Evans, Byron Zimmerman, and Jason Arnold, are removing over 100 black mambas a year from suburban gardens.
Wow.
And the bizarre thing is, in the last year, how many bites? 0. Not a single bite in the last year.
That's a good thing. I mean, that's very positive.
They're shy. They're shy. They want to get away,
Yep.
Here in Pretoria, where we are, we see a lot of, depending on where in Pretoria, but close to us, a lot of snouted cobras, a lot of puff adders, a lot of Mozambique spitting cobras. So we have a friend in Montague who removes Cape cobras in the area, and he's removing about 250 a year from residences at the moment.
Wow, that's a huge number of Cape cobras. Good Lord.
Yeah, that's a lot of snakes.
Yes, but that's and again, you say that with the removal of, and I'm sure you know about the Florida, the Everglades, and the Burmese pythons, and
sure,
we see. I say big numbers, and I think there's big debate on this, because you hear from people that there's so many down there that it's unbelievable, and then you hear from other people that say, oh, I hunt down there and I don't you know, if I find 1 or 2 a week, that's a lot. And it's like, okay, well, they have great camouflage, and I'm sure that that's a thing, but there's such a big focus on Burmese pythons and tegus and iguanas that everybody skips past the feral cats, which
Yeah.
kill more birds yearly than any of these animals combined. And yet we're okay because it's a cute and cuddly, you know, cat running around until it's destroying your house or killing something in your yard. And we hear all this bad stuff about Burmese pythons, and they're killing, you know, they're going to make every bird in the Everglades extinct, but nobody really wants to address the fact that that's really not the biggest problem.
No, it's a drop in the ocean compared with cats. I always say to people, I love cats. I have 2 in my freezer.
Yep. Yeah, the only good cat to me is somebody else's cat. I don't want to know, you know. And I mean, it's we see things, you know, snake relocations and stuff here. Obviously, we don't have the amount of species, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm really jealous right now. I absolutely love mambas. When I started my venomous journey, I waited till my kids were old enough to understand the difference between what is harmful and what is dangerous and what is harmless. And people ask me, you know, well, how old is that? Well, my son is 16 years old, and I would pretty much line him up with any reptile person at his age. He knows his stuff. You know, he's been around this his whole life. And at that point, I asked my wife, you know, hey, are you good with this? And she was okay with it. So, you know, we've started that journey. And I've always been a tree viper person, you know, love eyelash vipers. That's just to have a couple little tanks with a couple little eyelash vipers, I would be happy with that. And once I started working with all these different species of bothrops and the mambas and everything else, it's like, how do you pick what? It's amazing to see these animals move and what they do, and to see the hatchlings and little babies and watch them grow. And, you know, do you guys, as far as collecting and keeping, do you guys do any work with anti-venom places down there where you're collecting any of these snakes that go to like an anti-venom bank to produce venom for them?
So what's happening at the moment in South Africa is we have one institution that makes anti-venom, and that is the South African vaccine producers. It's part of our National Health Laboratory, so it's a government institution. We have a very good working relationship with them. We do provide a little bit of snake venom. We do provide scorpion venom. And I'm now also starting to provide all of the spider venom, where we have our version of your black widow. We have what we call a black button spider. And we collect about 500-600 of them a year, and those go for anti-venom. They sacrificed, dissected to get the venom. The scorpions, we keep about 200 of Parabuthus transvolicus, and we extract venom from those. And then we also provide venom. I'm busy with a project with the Northwest University, where we're trying to develop synthetic anti-venoms, and we're looking at proteins, and we're looking at enzymes. So we are also providing venom for those guys. We keep about just over 300 venomous snakes, mambas, cobras, boomslang, puffaders, and we breed some of those. Largely the young we keep for the future, because we use these snakes in the handling programs, but we try and rotate them as often as possible, give them a good break, and they just do a lot better then.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. That's the whole spider and scorpion thing is extremely interesting. And I like I said, I interviewed Nathaniel Frank from M Toxins, and he works with a lot of spiders and scorpions, and man, it's creepy. I'm not a spider guy. Cody will get mad at me for saying this. This was probably 1.5 years or so ago, and when we were in Palm Coast up here, and I went into the snake room and I saw a big spider web, and I looked and there was a black widow. So I ran to tell everybody in the house, come see the black widow. And I'm not going to lie, my first thought was fire. I need to burn I can't. And when we got back, it was gone. And I was like, this is not good, you know? So I got off in a flip flop and I'm looking for this thing. And it was horrible, but it was a good size one and in the house. And it was like, you know, they're here, you know, people are like, oh, I've never seen one. I've seen a whole bunch of them now. So,
well,
stay clear.
In my 40 years of herping all over the world, I've never managed to get bitten by a spider. I've tried everything. So they're the least of my problems.
Okay. Well, that's a good thing. I mean, if you've been bitten by other stuff, that's not good. So, you know, the question always gets asked, and again, I've surfed around on your site. I do have your app. When there is a bite, what's your protocol? Because I know, like, my protocol here, and I'll just give you a brief description, is if I take a bite, secure the animal, 911, poison control, Dr. Ben, go to the hospital. Obviously, I don't have anti-venom now, but when I do, I will have a go bag that we'll use. I have some ideas that I got from from Zookeeper that I've had on here, where I'll have tags that are clips for each of the venomous snakes that are here. So that tag will be clipped on it. God forbid if it happens, will be tagged onto my clothing. And then this way, if I'm unconscious, they can pull the tag, look, match the anti-venom, make sure everything is good, and, you know, we're good to go. What do you guys do as far as protocol there?
For ourselves, I think, first of all, I'm a basic life support instructor. So all of my staff have attended my courses. They know how to use bag valve masks. They know how to use pocket masks. We keep adequate anti-venom on site for other people's emergencies as well. We do keep adrenaline. We have BVMs, and we have pocket masks. We have smart bandages. We have elapids here. So the nearest hospital from us, in case of an emergency, is about a 4.5-minute drive from where we are.
Okay.
It's right down the road. So the most important thing, obviously, is to get the person straight down to the hospital. So we won't even make use of pressure bandages or anything like that. So if we have a bite, it's straight down there where the patient can be ventilated and intubated if necessary. Anti-venom will go with. And what we obviously do is we involve very experienced snakebite doctors in any emergency. And I had one this afternoon. Mm-hmm. So in South Africa, we have a poison information center. Okay. Where they have medical doctors who run a 24-hour line. And that's really for other doctors who need advice on snakebite. So I'm their go-to person for snakebite. Okay. But then through our app, we have over 1,000 doctors on our app. So through our app, I get a lot of phone calls, and some are throughout the night from doctors who need advice on how to treat snake bites. I probably have over 800 medical doctors a year through my programs on how to treat snake bites. And those courses we provide free of charge, and they also get CPD points. So they're quite keen to do our courses.
Okay.
So to give you an idea, this afternoon, it was sort of in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of KwaZulu-Natal. 66-year-old man bitten at midday on the leg, not sure what it was, but quite a bit of swelling. They got hold of me 5 hours later. I immediately sent the profile of the puffer, and the guy said, yep, that's it. So he could identify it straight away from the picture. And then I have 2 medical doctors who help. Both are the most experienced snakebite doctors in this country. Dr. Habas Miller is 79 years old. He's treated over 1,500 bites. And Dr. Tilbury is well published, now retired. Also, he's treated hundreds and hundreds of people. So the moment we have a snake bite, we get one of these guys involved. We get the blood works quickly. We have a look at that, and then we recommend the correct treatments.
Okay. So in today's case, did they get to a hospital? They got into a hospital for treatment? Once they identified, I would assume anti-venom was administered?
Yeah, fortunately, the hospital had anti-venom. Okay. So in South Africa, we use 2 anti-venoms. For boomslang bite, we have a monovalent anti-venom, and the dosage is usually 20 milliliters or 2 vials. Mm-hmm. It is very rarely used because bites are rare. Boomslang bites 1 or 2 a year, maybe 3, and usually a snake handler. But those snakes just don't bite. Mm-hmm. The other snakes, our cobras, The Runkas, the Mambas, the Puffer, and the Gaboon adder are all covered by a polyvalent antivenom.
Okay.
And that is made from the venom of 10 species of snakes.
Okay.
So for puffer bites this afternoon, our recommendation was 5 vials for a start. Pufferers, you can get away with 5 or 6 vials. Virtually any other snake, 10 or 12 vials to start off with.
Okay.
So the patient did have 5 vials, and we're waiting for feedback.
Okay. Yeah, it's very interesting when we talk about snake bites here, because it's almost like people want to avoid that conversation. Like, let's not talk about it. Well, no, we really need to know what will happen and what's going to happen. We've unfortunately had a couple mamba bites here in the last few months. Nate actually took a bite from a black in October, which wasn't a bite. It was just a scratch on his finger after 3 pops to the cup, and he said he didn't really feel anything right away. And he said they're 10 minutes from the hospital. And he said when they got to the hospital, he was feeling it, and the doctor told him if you'd have waited any longer, it could have been a different story. So I think the unfortunate part of what happens here in the venomous world is you have a show like the Columbia, South Carolina show where an 18-year-old kid goes in and says, wow, look at that green mamba, look at that puff adder, look at that gaboon viper. It's not very expensive. I can afford to buy this. And they take it home not realizing just how bad those animals can actually be.
Yeah.
So do you see a lot of bites from just lack of education, or are the majority of the bites from just like that obviously was bitten on the leg to make an assumption and say he was probably out in a yard, which would be amazing to see a puff adder in my yard, but
so the vast majority of, we have around 4,000 bites a year in South Africa.
Okay.
And of those, about 800 end up in hospital. Less than 10% of them get anti-venom. Wow. And we have on average about 10 to 12 fatalities a year. Those fatalities are largely black mamba and Cape cobra, the neurotoxins, obviously.
Yeah.
But then we have a lot of morbidity. We have a lot of tissue damage, multiple operations, a lot of, the odd loss of a finger and some loss of limbs. But the majority of bites are people at night accidentally standing on snakes. Most of our bites happen from November till April in the warm, wet summer months. And it's mainly young males that are getting bitten between the ages of 14 and 28. The keeper bites and the snake removal bites probably make up 3 or 4% of our bites. It's a small percentage.
Yeah, and it's probably the same here. Being a part of the reptile community, you hear more. It becomes more. You don't hear as much, but I think it's been over the last couple months. There's been a pretty big influx of copperhead, water moccasin and rattlesnake bites here. And it seems like it pops up every once in a while. We'll see them from some of the doctors that we follow, they'll have multiple people in a couple days, but again, it's that time of year, everything's moving around. It's wet, people are out finally, COVID, everybody wants to get out and move around now. So how has COVID affected what you guys are doing in South Africa right now?
Yeah, it's quite interesting. Snake removers, for most of the lockdown periods, were allowed to go and do snake removals. Mm-hmm. We had a lot more people at homes, and I think what happened in the rural areas is because you had a lot more activity around houses that are in sort of poorly developed areas, you actually had less snake bites. You had more snakes avoiding people. Mm-hmm. So we certainly didn't see an explosion of snake bites. That never happened.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't think it was. If we look at, one of the things we keep an eye on is the demand for anti-venom, and it's pretty much the same year after year. It fluctuates, but no massive differences.
Okay. All right. Well, what is, on the horizon for the African Snakebite Institute right now? What do you guys? What are your plans as far as, I know you were talking about the Anti-Venom Banks. Where exactly are you at with that? As far as
we've got
project goes?
We've got a long way to go. We need to collect, go in big corporates for about $100,000 to get the whole thing going. So that's ongoing, and it's all happening, and it's going out on our social media pages. A lot of paperwork, obviously, so we stay on top of that. We do a lot of product development. You know, we have a massive catalog of products. We manufacture about at least a dozen different tongues, different sizes.
Okay.
We manufacture a variety of different snake hooks. We have about 12 or 14 different types of snake gaiters. So we go from fairly cheap but effective, everything we test, and then we go up to, for some of the mining corporates, where we have reflective tape on gaiters. We have camo gaiters for the hunters.
Okay.
And then we go to really lightweight, quite a similar product to turtle skin.
Okay.
So we have gaiters with 2 layers of Kevlar that are pretty expensive, but they weigh just about nothing. They weigh just under 400 grams for the 2 of them.
Okay.
So we're always busy with product development. We're looking at gaiters, we're looking at this, we're looking at that, and that keeps us busy. We export to about probably 30, 40 countries in Africa.
Okay.
So we have a big network, and a lot of what we do is actually manufactured on site. We actually make it ourselves.
Okay.
That's
That's
a lot of
awesome.
organizing. We're a small team, but we're an effective team.
That's great. Makes it better for you. It's a better product.
Yeah.
So now, do you keep any animals yourself, like as personal?
No, I don't. No, that would be a bit selfish. I spend a rude amount of time traveling.
Okay.
I do a lot of field work. I work on a lot of other projects as well, on reptiles in general. I do a lot of photography, always busy with collecting images. So I do a bit of bird shooting. I do fly fishing.
Oh, okay.
I fish the Black River in San Carlos, Apache County in Arizona, and I fish down in Florida, and
Awesome.
I've done the Keys. I do the Ascension Island and the Yucatan Peninsula. I do
nice.
the Gallatin up in Montana, and
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I'm sort of all over the place, and I'm not home that often, or not often enough to care for reptiles properly.
Okay. Well, no, that makes sense. And you work with them enough so you get your fix there.
We have tons of them, yeah, and we with the field work. I mean, one of the things that I decided to do, I've been photographing reptiles all my life. I have the biggest reptile image library in Africa.
Okay.
But I decided, I recently purchased a Canon mirrorless camera.
Okay.
And I'm waiting for the new 100 macro lens, which comes out this month.
Okay.
And then I'm going to rephotograph everything.
Oh.
I'm going to do a Dick Bartlett. I'm going to see if I can get a photograph of everything out there.
Nice.
Yep.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see more. It's great seeing some of the really good pictures. You guys have an extensive library on the site. Like I said, it's a great site. So, all right. Well, I am going to go ahead and let you get back to you. And if you want to throw out contact information, I will definitely make sure we have everything listed in all of the descriptions so that everybody can find the Snakebite Institute. So do you have any plugs, anything
I think
you have going?
the website is African Snakebite Institute, but if anyone battles to find that, they just need to Google Johan Marais, Marais, and I pop up first, so we're easy to get hold of. And yeah, if guys are keen on our posters, they should download them and print them, stick them up in the snake room.
Absolutely.
If there's a poster that you want that we don't have, we'll create it in no time.
Awesome.
So give us a shot.
Awesome. Johan, it's been absolutely a pleasure to have you on. I truly appreciate it. I know it's late there. So again, I really appreciate your time and definitely appreciate your effort and what you guys are doing. And I will definitely keep in touch with you. And hopefully at some point you get over here to Florida and we can actually physically meet.
Sounds good. Look forward to that.
Awesome. You have a great day, sir. Truly appreciate it.
Yep. My pleasure. Thank you much.
Yep.
Thanks. Cheers.